Crosby has now left the team, by the way. He's pissed. Anyway, look at he's angry. He wants to play. He doesn't like what they're doing here. There's all sort of speculation.
This might be the final straw, George, for him there? Like, I don't know why he stays. Yeah, I know. The thing is, he's got a Raider freaking tattoo. Like, the guy loves the Raiders. Like, he really does love playing for the Raiders. But and now, like you said, he's not happy about this.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Sometimes those coaches do get the axe regardless of what the owner said just a few short weeks ago. And sometimes, Joe, you can't have it both ways. Like a Jets fan, you probably want them to tank. They're doing a really good job of that by not even being competitive at this point. But at the same time, you sort of want it to be, yeah, we're not competitive winning games, but it looks like we have a future. We might have found our quarterback. We got a good foundation. Nothing is going right.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
It's going to open up Pandora's box, but I will say this. I do believe players that sign now, like Najee, should not be eligible now, but should have to sit out and come back in next year. It's just a slippery slope, and I agree with people like Tom Izzo. I don't like it at all.
College basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
LeBron James gets that news today. What is today?
Today's his birthday.
Oh, I'm sorry. The greatest birthday gift that LeBron James has ever gotten is the reality, the smack in the face that he's no longer an all-star.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
Good afternoon. Welcome to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. I'm Craig Mish. Plenty to get to on today's show. In fact, they called today Black Monday in the NFL because so many coaches are fired. I hate to go by that, but that's just what they call it. And we got a lot of news on that to start the show. So we'll do that. We'll also hear from Adam Kaplan, our SportsGrid insider. We got Vinny Iyer from Sporting News, Jacob Kamaker. We're going to weigh in on the upcoming NFL playoffs, which are now officially set. Arguably the best game of the year last night on Sunday Night Football. We'll dive into that as well. And we'll also get you ready for the college football playoffs, which, by the way, begin Thursday, which means we have college football playoffs Thursday and Friday, NFL playoffs Saturday, NFL playoffs Sunday, and NFL playoffs Monday. So is this the best weekend of the year in January already? It could potentially be. So we'll get to all that and more. But let's get started, unfortunately, with the bad news, because I hate when people get fired. It stinks, but this is the way that it goes in the NFL, and it makes big news. So, as of right now, I believe the number is 4 coaches fired since last night. 4 in the NFL, and there's going to be more. So let's start off with the Las Vegas Raiders. Fair to say Pete Carroll's going to be a future Hall of Fame coach, but he had a horrendous one-year stint with the Raiders. He has been fired, so no longer the head coach in Las Vegas. Most notable in this news is that in the press release the Raiders put out, it says Tom Brady is involved in the hiring process of the next head coach. So get ready for that. The Raiders were absolutely awful. Carroll's had a great career. It's over, though. He will not be a head coach again in the NFL. Meanwhile, the Cleveland Browns announced this morning in a bit of surprise that Kevin Stefanski has been let go. For those of you who bet on the Browns the last 2 years, he had the very worst record against the spread for any NFL coach, but that's not why he got fired. He got fired because they didn't make the playoffs. And they were one of the worst teams in the NFL, but there are many who feel that he could be a candidate for another head coaching opportunity, specifically maybe the Giants, who announced today that they are going to keep Joe Shane, their general manager, so he stays. Minutes ago, we found out that the Arizona Cardinals, in not a surprise at all, have fired Jonathan Gannon. That team was dreadful for 3 years. You may remember before Gannon, they fired Cliff Kingsbury. They brought in Gannon for more stability. They had less. They were as bad as any team in the NFL this season, and that was the third coach. The fourth was Raheem Morris. We'll get to him in a minute. So if you're keeping score at home, 4 coaches fired in the NFL, and we're just getting started here on this Monday afternoon. Meanwhile, in case you missed it last night, you missed the best game of the year in the NFL. It just had everything that you could ask for in a game. These battles between the Ravens and Steelers are just awesome. Always take the points, by the way, in these matchups, and proven again yesterday. Steelers win in this one by a final score of 26-24. So much happened in the second half of this game. We could do a whole hour on it, but we won't. In the end, it was a missed field goal by the Ravens that ended up capturing the division for the Steelers. Truth be told, the Ravens should have won the game. It was a 44-yard field goal. Great game for Aaron Rodgers in this one. Equally impressive for Lamar Jackson, who found Zay Flowers a couple times in the end zone. But it is Pittsburgh who is in. It is Baltimore who is out. Mike Tomlin, sort of a loss for words after the dramatics that finished this one.
Whew, man. It's another one in the history of this series, man. It's an honor to be a part of this rivalry with that group. Got a lot of respect for them, man. Obviously, it was a 60-minute football game. But I'm just happy for those guys in that locker room. They fought and fought and fought, not only tonight, but throughout the entire journey. And so we move forward.
We haven't made it easy on ourselves. Really the second, not really all season, I guess. But I'm proud of our guys. You know, from really the, quasi 2-minute drive at the end of the first half through the second half, we played really good ball on offense. So I'm proud of the way that we responded multiple times after they took a lead. And it just takes a little belief at this point in the season. There's 14 teams that'll be left. 18 will be playing their off season. It's good to be a part of the 14 after, so many years. 22 we lost in the last game to make the playoffs. 23 I was out. 24 we were terrible. So it's nice to be back in this position.
Meanwhile, the Steelers will get another opportunity to play on Monday night. We'll get to the playoff picture in just a minute. First, let's touch on the Ravens side of things. A lot of rumors swirling about John Harbaugh and Lamar Jackson. Do they get along? Will Harbaugh be back? Those were at least asked in the press conference last night. You didn't get great answers.
I know, it just happened, but are you feeling like you want another shot with these guys?
Yeah, I love these guys. I love these guys.
Mark, it's kind of the emotions when a season ends that way.
You know what's the emotion, Jameson? Like we did all that, man, to come up short, bro, Devastating. Furious, all type of, I don't know. I'm everywhere with it right now.
There's a lot of questions about Harbaugh's future as well. Do you want to see John remain the coach next year?
You asking me about next year, Jameson. Like, I'm so caught up in what just happened tonight. I can't focus on that right now. I just told you. Like, he asked me, "Are you stunned?" I'm stunned right now. I'm still trying to process what's going on. Like, I know we lost, but what the that's all.
All right, thank you, Lamar.
Appreciate y'all.
Meanwhile, the playoffs are set. Let's take a look at the breakdown for how the AFC will look. I mentioned the Steelers playing on Monday Night Football. They'll get the Houston Texans. Previous to that, though, we've got the Broncos with the bye. Chargers will take on the Patriots in New England. Bills at the Jaguars. Looks like a pick'em game there. And then Texans at Steelers on Monday night. Should be a fun weekend. Meanwhile, number 1 seed goes to the Broncos. Here's Sean Payton on picking up another win and playing great defense on their way to the top seed.
Look, a huge win. Obviously, I think the thing that our guys did the best, you can't control who's playing for the other team, but, man, we did all the things we needed to do defensively. I would have liked to scored more touchdowns in the red zone. But you play a game a certain way. When we understood what was at stake, and now we sit here with the opportunity of having the 1 seed, which is pretty good.
I think for us it's the best case scenario, and it'll be good to play here because of our stadium and the atmosphere. I think that'll apply a little bit more pressure. And then, but at the end of the day, it's it's an open tournament. It's going to be a really good opportunity to play really good teams, and each one that comes in here, it's going to be a tough, physical, competitive game.
Falcons right now are looking for a new head coach. They beat the Saints 19-17. Raheem Morris let go. Also, general manager Terry Fontenot let go. They figured into the final seeding in the NFL playoffs as the Falcons win, knocked the Buccaneers out. Bucs beat the Panthers, so the Panthers are in the playoffs. By the way, the Seahawks took care of the number 1 seed. They beat the 49ers 13-3. So let's take a look at the NFL playoff picture with Seattle getting the only bye in the NFC. We've got the Packers taking on the Bears on Saturday. That'll be followed by the Rams, and the Rams will take on the Rams are on the road taking on the Panthers, and then, of course, we have the 49ers taking on the Eagles. So a fun weekend ahead. Super wild card weekend, I guess, is what they call it there. All right, Chiefs lost to the Raiders 14-12. The Raiders have the number 1 seed in the, I guess, what would you say, the NFL draft, the chase of the NFL draft. They got the number 1 pick overall. Giants fall to 5th overall pick. They beat the Cowboys 34-17. Bills' final game ever at Highmark Stadium. They win 35-8. And in college football news, a pretty big development over the weekend. Trinidad Chambliss has reached an agreement on a new deal to stay at Ole Miss, contingent on the NCAA granting his 6th-year eligibility waiver. He's one of the best quarterbacks in all of college football. And guess what? They're playing against the University of Miami on Thursday night, so good news for them. Coming up next year on NewsWire, Vinny Iyer is going to join us. We'll recap what happened on Sunday Night Football, take an early look at the upcoming NFL playoffs. You're watching NewsWire here on SportsGrid. We'll be back right after this.
LeBron James gets that news today. What is today?
Today's his birthday.
Oh, I'm sorry? The greatest birthday gift that LeBron James has ever gotten is the reality, the smack in the face that he's no longer an all-star.
The Craig Carton Show. Only on SportsGrid.
Like Alabama, right? Is there a team that scores more than Alabama? No, right? But they're actually an under team over the last couple of years because their numbers are so high. You get these Americans in Queens College or Denver. Who the hell's betting on them, right? No, but so the lines stay low. They're just like, no one's hopping all over them. But every time you see an Alabama game, you're betting over, but you're losing money because the numbers are so big.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Sometimes those coaches do get the axe regardless of what the owner said just a few short weeks ago. And sometimes, Joe, you can't have it both ways. Like a Jets fan, you probably want them to tank. They're doing a really good job of that by not even being competitive at this point. But at the same time, you sort of want it to be, yeah, we're not competitive winning games, but it looks like we have a future. We might have found our quarterback. We got a good foundation. Nothing is going right.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
He's out again. Anthony Davis is injured once again and is going to miss time with the Dallas Mavericks for a minor groin strain. Likely will miss a few games. And I don't even know what a few games is to Anthony Davis because Anthony Davis seems to always be missing time.
Pro Basketball Today, only on SportsGrid.
Welcome back to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. Lots of firings in the NFL as far as head coaches are concerned, but Vinny and I are more concerned with last night's game, which was a game for the ages on Sunday Night Football, as Vinny joins me now here on NewsWire. I think that, look, the one thing that I would take away from this, Vinny, is that I think there was a couple of years ago where they had either on Christmas Day or Thanksgiving, the Steelers playing the Ravens, and they ended the NFL season with this. I mean, if you ever want a tradition, Vinny, I think this is the best one to give. Like, just put this game on Sunday night at the end of the year, every year. I don't know what the score is going to be, but some team, I talked about this all last week on the show. Everyone asked of opinion. I'll give you mine. Someone's going to have the ball with no time left, attempting a field goal. This is exactly what happens in these games, and the theater last night was just incredible.
Yeah, now we get more points and big plays in it. You used to be like, I used to have a running joke with myself and the readers, and every Steelers-Ravens game, I would pick 20-17. Is the same thing you were saying. I think someone's going to have the ball tied at 17. It's going to be an ugly game, and someone kicks a field goal. Well, now we have guys running wide open. I don't think this is the Ravens and Steelers defenses that we've known from years past, and partly because the game has changed, right? I mean, you have to have that consistent pass rush without blitzing, and it's hard to stop a team consistently doing that. And just the Steelers have had miscommunication issues all season long on defense. Big plays on that side. The Ravens have been weak in the secondary with not much of a pass rush. It's unusual to see, but it's still a fun result. It's still the way it comes together here with Lamar Jackson and Aaron Rodgers. So you had a bit of everything. The coaches, the quarterbacks, the drama, the weather, the rivalry, all that good stuff. So, I mean, NFL, look, some people say it's scripted. Sometimes things just happen dramatically in this league. And it's just a well-constructed league where things like this are bound to happen year in and year out.
Huge win. The games were horrendous, by the way, up until Sunday night, but
yeah,
a huge win, I think, on Sunday night. It's all you can ask for. But extending the season, they got to be out of their mind. I mean, we're getting so much bad football at the end of the year. Okay, so Aaron Rodgers had the great game. We'll talk about him later in the week or next week as they move on. They'll play Monday Night Football. Let's talk about the Ravens here and put a bow on their season. Lamar Jackson was hurt for a large portion of it, Vinny. I can't figure out what's going on with him. I know he was really good in the second half of this game. I'm confused with what I see here. I want to believe that Harbaugh will be back. I want to believe that Lamar Jackson will be back. In fact, if I was the Ravens, I don't care how much money this guy is making. There's no way that without, honestly, Vinny, getting the number one pick in the draft, I would never trade this guy. Like, you will never find a quarterback as good as this in the upcoming NFL draft. If the Ravens choose to do something like this, Vinny, they're going to stink next year.
Yeah, and he's a guy that a lot of teams would jump at, right? In his prime right now, he's won multiple MVPs. I mean, he's got a Hall of Fame trajectory. I mean, when you win 2 MVPs, you're pretty much guaranteed to be in that club. And look, he's had his ups and downs. He hasn't won in the playoffs, but he played well enough for them to win last night. I mean, there was a tip ball that was intercepted, but he definitely played well enough to win. I mean, you could have said that for Aaron Rodgers on the other side, where the defense, someone's going to be let down, and we usually don't see that, right? I mean, we just expect the Steelers or Ravens defense to come through in those clutch moments, but now it just came down to a couple of special teams mistakes, one being a little bit bigger than the other. So we're not used to that, but I mean, he was hurt, and that affects him if he can't move around and be downfield. I think their offense got a little stale, like it was working very well, but they got to get some youth and energy in that offense. I mean, Mark Andrews is not what he once was. They can't get the receivers downfield except for Zay Flowers. They need a little bit more creativity. It seems like if they can't run Derrick Henry and he doesn't open up everything, then they struggle a little bit. So maybe there needs to be some personnel changes and systemic changes, but in terms of the quarterback, I think that they are where they are. They just have to execute and win. And I think the big thing is the Ravens didn't have that defense to win this year on top of everything else. So I think the defense is what really caused them not to make the playoffs.
Yeah, and I would tell you that Rashad Bateman was a really big part of what they did last year at the end of the year in the playoffs too, and he wasn't a part of that game yesterday. All right, so we have the number 1 seed in the AFC. It is the Denver Broncos, Vinny. I don't remember less of a conviction for an NFL team than the Denver Broncos being the number 1 seed here, winning all the games that they have in the fashion that they have it. Honestly, Vinny, you watch these prognosticators, people like you and me, I don't see anybody picking Denver to go to the Super Bowl. Like, no one. Even with the season that they had here. I guess it's going to be tough to go there and play, but Vinny, I think playing in Denver this time of the year is a little bit of a fallacy. You know, the guys have been playing the whole year. They're not going to get winded or anything. It's not like September where the season begins. So, look, they probably will win a playoff game, but I wouldn't even put it past some other team to go in and beat them in the first week.
Yeah, you're looking at a potential tough matchup immediately, right? I mean, we'll see how it plays out between the Steelers and the Texans, but that would be if things held to form, the matchup that they would see. But then you also have the Bills looming. You also have the Jaguars looming here at some point. So The Broncos, look, they're kind of like the Bears of the AFC. A lot of things have broken right. They've done well in these close games. They've been playing bad football in a lot of games for a half or three quarters, and then they turn it on in the fourth quarter to win, and they win a lot of close games. So that's usually a formula that's dangerous in the playoffs because it can bite you in any way. Now, it could continue, but the odds are against it, right? To sustain that for 3 games, for 2 games, even against tougher competition, is difficult. So you got to look at the teams that can sustain, win in different ways. That's what makes a team like a Philadelphia, even with all their struggles, a little bit more dangerous, or Los Angeles, the Rams, more so than the Chargers. But yeah, there's a lot of reason to be skeptical about the Broncos. And look, the Seahawks might have some of the same issues, concerned with the quarterbacks at most.
It's going to be tougher, I think, to win in Seattle than it will be in Denver. I feel like Seattle's pedigree this year is a little stronger, but you can see to win the AFC, Vinny, I mean, you never have a season where a team is not favored to win, like Kansas City, Baltimore, Buffalo. I mean, Denver is plus 230, but New England is surged up to plus 420. You even have Jacksonville at plus 550. That was my team at the beginning of the season, 30-1 on them. Any clue here? You want to take a stab at this? Whoever you picked at the beginning of the year, you didn't win. I can tell you that. So you want to try again?
Well, I did pick the Bills to get to the Super Bowl early in the year, but I'm going with the Jaguars, though. They have the momentum. They've got the quarterback.
Yeah, Vinny's on board. Yeah. All right.
If they can get past the Bills, I think they're in really good shape. I'll just say that. The first game might be their toughest, and if they get past that, they're good. They're good to go.
Well, I laughed at me at the beginning of the year, and here we are. Thanks, Vinny. Have a great week.
LeBron James gets that news today. What is today?
Today's his birthday.
Oh, I'm sorry? The greatest birthday gift that LeBron James has ever gotten is the reality, the smack in the face that he's no longer an all-star.
The Craig Carton Show. Only on SportsGrid.
Like Alabama, right? Is there a team that scores more than Alabama? No, right? But they're actually an under team over the last couple of years because their numbers are so high. You get these Americans in Queens College or Denver. Who the hell's betting on them, right? No, but so the lines stay low. They're just like, no one's hopping all over them. But every time you see an Alabama game, you're betting over, but you're losing money because the numbers are so big.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Sometimes those coaches do get the axe regardless of what the owner said just a few short weeks ago. Now, sometimes, Joe, you can't have it both ways. Like a Jets fan, you probably want them to tank. They're doing a really good job of that by not even being competitive at this point. But at the same time, you sort of want it to be, yeah, we're not competitive winning games, but it looks like we have a future. We might have found our quarterback. We got a good foundation. Nothing is going right.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
He's out again. Anthony Davis is injured once again and is going to miss time with the Dallas Mavericks for a minor groin strain. Likely will miss a few games. And I don't even know what a few games is to Anthony Davis because Anthony Davis seems to always be missing time.
Pro Basketball Today, only on SportsGrid.
Welcome back to NewsWire. If you're just joining us, 4 announcements made official of coaches being fired in the National Football League. Atlanta with Raheem Morris. Cleveland has let go of Kevin Stefanski. The Raiders have parted ways with Pete Carroll, and Arizona has said farewell to Jonathan Gannon. And it's 12:24 Eastern on a Monday, so get ready for the rest of the day and tomorrow. But first, let's go back and we will talk some Browns football. Myles Garrett sets the all-time sacks record. Zach Taylor is staying in Cincinnati, wasn't happy with the outcome yesterday, and what to make of Aaron Glenn. We'll hear from him one more time as the season ends. Time now for the SportsGrid Sound Off. In the early 70s, they didn't keep track of sacks, so it's really hard to know who really is the all-time sack leader. But when they started paying attention and tracking it with Reggie White and J.J. Watt and a lot of other players, it became apparent that somebody was going to get eventually 30 sacks in the season. It didn't happen this year for Myles Garrett. He only ended up getting around 23, but he broke the record yesterday by tackling Joe Burrow, who was essentially on the ground. Let's hear from Garrett on him breaking the record and something that I think he'll only have, honestly, for a short period of time.
And it was everything I expected. And it was so tough. I knew they were going to make it difficult, but I don't think I saw more than 3 singles on a real dropback the whole game, and I just knew that if I did, I had to make that moment count, and man, the feeling couldn't be better.
Did you ever? I know how confident you were. Did you ever start to wonder about it? And there's only 5 minutes and 4 seconds left.
I think I said it earlier, but I had a dream that I didn't get it. So I was like, well, we gotta deny fate, whatever it is. We gotta make it happen. And I just went into it and still had the utmost confidence in myself and my preparation and in my guys, man. I couldn't do it without them. They were supporting me, trying to find ways to free me up, get the chips off me, get the doubles off, and eventually, we just made it happen as we have all year.
As I mentioned earlier, Mike Brown, the general manager of the Bengals, said that Zach Taylor is going to be back as head coach of the Bengals next season. The end of their season didn't necessarily go the way that they thought. They lost 20-18 to their rival in Cleveland, but there was a play stoppage in the game that was not lacking controversy in this one. Zach Taylor weighed in on why the refs decided to potentially stop the game and stop them from maybe winning.
There's 5 minutes left in our season. We're playing for our lives here, and I was never told that we're going to stop the game, and in a critical moment like that. And the refs just said that they made a decision that they were going to stop the game, and they said they tried to do it as quickly as possible. I didn't feel that. We didn't sub. We're trying to be on the ball and go and play with tempo, and the umpire just held the ball so that we couldn't do anything. And I'm yelling at Joe, get on the ball. We didn't sub. We're going, and we couldn't play. And so, again, trying to get an answer was not easy. They just said that they made a decision as a crew to stop the game when that happened. I guess it didn't matter when it happened. It just, they were going to stop the game and let it happen.
And you weren't informed of that?
No, I was never informed of that. They didn't say one word. We meet with them in the 90-minute meeting before the game. They never said one word about that.
All right. Meanwhile, we've hadn't had one word yet from the New York Jets on an endorsement for head coach Aaron Glenn, who had one of the worst records in the history of the Jets as a first-year head coach. It appears that maybe Glenn could be back next season, but that's not to say that he didn't go through it in his first year in New York. They lost yesterday to end the season 35-8 at the hands of the Buffalo Bills. Glenn weighed in on the disappointing campaign in 2025.
And the only thing that I can think about is moving on to next year and taking this whole season, and I'll let the players down. I let the organization down, and that burns me. It really does. This was not expected of where we are this season, and I understand that. But here's what I do know. I know the reason why I came here, and I am not going to waver from my beliefs on what I think wins games in this league. And I am very confident in myself. I'm very confident in this organization. I'm very confident in our owner. I'm very confident in Mooj. And we're going to work our ass off to get this exactly where it needs to be. And I do know that. But I'll tell you this. This season's on me. It's on me.
I don't know. Is it really, though? The talent on the team, the quarterbacking, the players that they sign? Partially, Glenn has to take some heat, but talent wasn't necessarily there. By the way, no word from the Jets. That's a little odd here at 12:30 Eastern. Nothing yet. All right, Jacob Kamaker will join us next to weigh in on some of these coaching moves after this.
LeBron James gets that news today. What is today?
Today's his birthday.
Oh, I'm sorry. The greatest birthday gift that LeBron James has ever gotten is the reality, the smack in the face that he's no longer an all-star.
The Craig Carton Show. Only on SportsGrid.
He's out again. Anthony Davis is injured once again and is going to miss time with the Dallas Mavericks for a minor groin strain. Likely will miss a few games. And I don't even know what a few games is to Anthony Davis, because Anthony Davis seems to always be missing time.
Pro basketball today. Only on SportsGrid.
I know exactly what Patriot Nation is screaming this morning. It's Drake May time. Give him the trophy. MVP. Stop it, please. Just sit down. Yes, Drake May has had a nice season. But let's be real. He has played a JV schedule of defenses. He is carving up the easiest slate of defenses in the NFL this season. Congratulations on your beatdown of the Jets.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
It's going to open up Pandora's box. But I will say this. I do believe players that sign now, like Najee, should not be eligible now, but should have to sit out and come back in next year. It's just a slippery slope. And I agree with people like Tom Izzo. I don't like it at all.
College basketball today. Only on SportsGrid.
Welcome back to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. We've got several coaches fired in the National Football League. In fact, I think that we could probably tie the quarterbacking and the coach in at least 3 of the 4 places. And let's get to Jacob Kamaker from USA Today, because it feels like they go hand in hand these days. If you have a quarterback that doesn't work out, the coach is going to get let go in one way or the other, and then it's the GM inevitably that's probably responsible for this. So that's why, look, I don't think Raheem Morris will start in Atlanta. I don't think that he did a great job. I don't think that he did a horrible job. But the moment that they drafted Michael Penix Jr., that was going to be the determiner as to whether or not this was going to work, Jacob. And Penix, he looks okay as a quarterback, but there were so many other players that were available to them to go along with his previous picks, which, by the way, look pretty good now. Bijan Robinson, Drake London, Kyle Pitts. But, you know, I don't think that it's easy to explain to an owner that decision, Jacob. I think at the time when Arthur Blank was in the moment and Terry Fontenot was like, hey, we're going to take Penix here because we love him. I know how this works. I think that Blank has to trust Fontenot, right? He has to say, all right, look, it's your show if this is what you want to do. But then when it doesn't work out, you don't get to keep your job very long. And I think that's what happened here.
Yeah, Atlanta learned kind of the hard way, or this brain trusted that having 2 quarterbacks is sometimes worse than having no quarterbacks, because, you know, you have the 2 guys, you have Kirk Cousins, you have Michael Penix Jr. You have to figure out which one of them is going to be the guy and when. And obviously, when they signed Kirk Cousins to that big 4-year, $180 million deal, the idea was to make him the long-term starting quarterback, whether that was 2 years, 3 years, or the entire 4-year duration of that contract. But he struggled the first year with injuries that thrust Penix right into the lineup. And Penix, like you said, looked okay at times, but he wasn't able to perform at a very consistent level despite having weapons around him. So it just ended up being a mess that really Raheem Morris and Terry Fontenot couldn't quite fix. Fontenot got a pretty long leash there. I believe he was there 5 or 6 years, and he made a lot of good offensive draft picks. There's a lot of talent on the team, but I think Arthur Blank, Craig, he is hungry for a Super Bowl. He's 83 years old. He really wants to get the Falcons their first one. He sees a window of opportunity in this NFC South. And, you know, these 8-9 records in a division that, you know, had an 8-9 champion in it. He's saying, if I get someone to get me to 11 wins, that's probably going to get me a shot at a potential Super Bowl run. So I think that's how he's thinking about this decision right now. Even though Morris, I don't think, did a poor job. I think he just ended up in a rough circumstance.
Yeah. And, you know, on top of it, you know, really important to note, Jacob, is that these owners are billionaires. But if you're going to throw away $200 million of an owner's money, like the Falcons did with Kirk Cousins, you're going to be in trouble if that doesn't work out, because at the end of the day, they didn't become billionaires by giving money away like that. I mean, that's a lot of money to not play a guy, you know? And the Browns did that as well. So is this Kevin Stefanski's fault that they invested all this time and money into Deshaun Watson? Finally, they went away from that this season, but the results certainly weren't there. I will say that I think he's okay. I do find it odd that he's like super coveted though, because they were involved in so many awful games, Jacob, and a lot of blowouts too. He was coach of the year a couple times. I know that. I feel like he'll probably get another gig somewhere else, but I don't know. I'm not into the recycling thing. I think that some of these younger teams should go elsewhere, but Stefanski probably gets a gig somewhere. There's so many openings. He's probably going to get one.
Yeah, I think Stefanski is a solid coach. I think those 2 coach of the years, like you mentioned, just demonstrate what his ceiling is, because those years he had Baker Mayfield playing at one of his highest levels during his time with the Browns. And then the other year he had 5 different starting quarterbacks and really resurrected Joe Flacco from being coming off the couch to leading one of the more impressive comeback performances down the stretch by the Browns. So I think there's something there with Stefanski. I think he's a good coach. I think in a better situation, he might be good. But again, like you said, the Browns kind of put him in a terrible situation at quarterback. Trading for Deshaun Watson and paying him that amount of money has been one of the biggest quarterback busts, trade busts in NFL history. He hasn't been good when he's on the field, and he's barely been available. So Stefanski was kind of dealt a raw hand in terms of being able to say, hey, I need to get my guy at quarterback. He never really had that. So I'm wondering if he goes to a team with a better quarterback or a young quarterback with some upside, what he could potentially do there. But I don't think you're wrong in saying that, hey, some of these teams that are looking at Stefanski as an option might need to really think of like, hey, do we need a real reset here and just take a big upside swing on a coach? Or are we looking for someone more proven who we can say, hey, with a better roster, like Atlanta, for example, would Kevin Stefanski be a good fit there? I think potentially yes, because he could maybe develop Michael Penix a bit. And if Penix, he decides, isn't the guy, they still have Kirk Cousins there who can just be a serviceable starter. But I think Stefanski, with a better roster, will get a little bit more out of his offenses. But certainly the last 2 years have left a lot to be desired. Whether that's on him or the organizational building there, I'm not entirely sure. But I kind of lean on the organization putting him in a terrible spot with that Watson deal.
The Raiders, in the long line of just making horrible moves, made another one this offseason by hiring Pete Carroll. And a lot of people say Pete Carroll should have not taken the job and ended his career. That's easy for us to say, Jacob, with the amount of money that he's going to get paid to not coach the next couple of years. It was a brutal fit from the very beginning. Very strange. And then bringing in Geno Smith, obviously he had a big part in that and a big voice in that too. I don't know. Like, I mean, Pete Carroll's going to be fine. He's probably going to end up in the Hall of Fame. And it just felt like the Raiders were desperate to throw money at somebody, and they made a really bad choice here. And I mentioned earlier in the show, Jacob, what I found the most interesting is in the press release from Mark Davis. It said that Tom Brady is going to be a big part of this. Not that we didn't know that, but even in the press release to see that too.
Yeah, I think Mark Davis has a tendency in recent years, Craig, to make these kind of splashy hires. I mean, he did it with Josh McDaniels back in, I believe, 2021 or 2022 when he joined the team. That was supposed to be hey, he's been a head coach before, but now he's got this 10 years of coordinating experience, bright young offensive mind. So Davis likes the flashy stuff. That's why he's probably touting the fact that Brady will be involved here. But yeah, Carroll really, it's a strange situation because in a way I look at it and I say to myself, Pete Carroll, you don't bring him in for 1 year and just get rid of him. Like, he's noted as being a culture builder. So if you're bringing him on board, you want him there for multiple years to kind of set that up. Obviously, things didn't work at all with the Raiders, so I understand why they moved on from him. But to your point, it was a strange hire from the beginning, knowing how impatient the Raiders have been. And really what ultimately did Carroll in was kind of hitching his wagon to Geno Smith and just saying, hey, this guy's going to be good enough as a starter to maybe get us in that wild card race. Obviously, that backfired big time, and that's one of the main reasons that the Raiders' offense face-planted. They had so many in-season firings, and now Pete Carroll finds himself without a coaching job again. So just a strange situation for the Raiders. I'm interested to see what Tom Brady does differently in this coach hiring cycle. I'm going to keep a close eye on Brian Flores in this one. Obviously spent 11 years of his career with the Patriots, and Tom Brady was the quarterback in all 11 of those seasons. So maybe he'll bring in a guy he's familiar with who can build a defensive identity there. I'm a big Brian Flores guy. I think that might end up being a decent fit for the Raiders as they do look to build an identity and culture there.
suing the NFL. I don't know that they would allow that, like secretly, like I don't know. I mean, I just don't see that scenario playing out. It also hurt the Raiders to me, Jacob, the fact that you had Genti, Jacoby Myers, Geno Smith, Max Crosby, like Bowers. You had they should not have been that bad. I get it. They should have lost 10 games, but they should not have been as bad as they were. Arizona, on the other hand, once they got rid of Kyler Murray, I saw this coming. I mean, like Jacoby Brissett, he wasn't even good. Like, they were down 21-0 every single game. Their defense was horrendous. Jonathan Gannon, honestly, Jacob, horrendous job as a head coach. I'm sorry to say. He'll be a coordinator the rest of his life. He'll do a fantastic job. But what positive did he do? I thought Kingsbury didn't do a good job in Arizona. He makes him look like one of the worst coaches of all time. I don't think he gets a gig again.
Yeah, I think it's going to be hard for Gannon to get another head coaching gig. I mean, he talked a big game, but they could never back it up. It just never came together there. They were supposed to build on last season going 8-9, and they just completely face planted. And it's not because of the injury to Kyler Murray. Jacoby Brissett played well enough to keep them competitive. That defense was terrible under Gannon's watch, and that's really what did him in. And I think the Cardinals will be better off moving on from him, trying to get a guy with a little more upside in there.
All right, Jacob, enjoy the rest of your week. Get a good day's rest after today, and we'll catch up again next week. Thanks again.
Sounds good, Craig. Take care.
All right, coming up next, the Seattle Seahawks, the surprise #1 seed in the NFC. Can they take that all the way? Joe Ranieri, SportsGrid, will weigh in with us next.
LeBron James gets that news today. What is today?
Today's his birthday.
Oh, I'm sorry? The greatest birthday gift that LeBron James has ever gotten is the reality, the smack in the face that he's no longer an all-star.
The Craig Carton Show. Only on SportsGrid.
He's out again. Anthony Davis is injured once again and is going to miss time with the Dallas Mavericks for a minor groin strain. Likely will miss a few games. And I don't even know what a few games is to Anthony Davis, because Anthony Davis seems to always be missing time.
Pro basketball today. Only on SportsGrid.
I know exactly what Patriot Nation is screaming this morning. It's Drake May time. Give him the trophy. MVP. Stop it, please. Just sit down. Yes, Drake May has had a nice season. But let's be real. He has played a JV schedule of defenses. He is carving up the easiest slate of defenses in the NFL this season. Congratulations on your beatdown of the Jets.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
It's going to open up Pandora's box. But I will say this. I do believe players that sign now, like Najee, should not be eligible now, but should have to sit out and come back in next year. It's just a slippery slope. And I agree with people like Tom Izzo. I don't like it at all.
College basketball today. Only on SportsGrid.
Welcome back to NewsWire. Amongst the surprises in the NFL this season, got to put Seattle having the best record in the NFC right up there. Let's bring in Joe Ranieri of NewsWire and, of course, In Game Live and hosting weekend shows here with us as well. Joe, great to have you back here, and Happy New Year. Thanks for coming on the show. So Seattle basically dismantled the San Francisco 49ers, who I feel like they ran out of gas last week, 13-3 over the weekend, as Sam Darnold capped off a season where he won 14 games. He and Tom Brady, the only players in the history of the NFL to win 14 games in back-to-back seasons. But it's a lot more than that, obviously, Joe. Their defense of Seattle's really good. The coaching is good as well. And when Seattle has a lead, Joe, unlike some of these other teams who give it away, they just hand the ball off to those two running backs. and usually they're able to salt away the game.
Yeah, and I think what we saw there was finally, because it has been such a stretch for the 49ers, who have done an amazing job of beating up 500 teams or worse and dropping 30 or 40 points a week. And oh my goodness, this offense is unstoppable. Well, until they actually played a legitimate elite defense. And that's what we saw in that game. In Seattle, we've been saying it all year, that defense is a championship quality defense. But more importantly, I loved the game plan there where it was about Charbonnet. It was about running the ball. Do not ask Sam Darnold to drop back 35, 40 times a game and think good things are going to happen. I think they need to keep running, keep the game plan very simple, great defense, control time of possession, and Seattle, who is likely or plausibly going to see what? The Rams or the Eagles in the championship game. And if the Rams get there, they will have already crisscrossed the country twice. So it's advantage Seattle right now in a big way.
I think so, especially in that park, as you mentioned, that stadium there, especially in a night game in an NFC championship. They're going to be tough to beat, I think. Okay, so this is our first look here at some of the games coming up this weekend. We've gotten through so many coaching fires, Joe. We don't even have time to do all this stuff. But we got plenty of time until Saturday, 4:30 Eastern on, is this okay, this is Sunday game. The 49ers take on the Eagles. The Eagles are 3.5-point favorites. The defending champs, total of 46.5 in this game. I didn't check the opening line. I probably should have done that before I came on the show here. But I feel like a lot of people are going to be enticed by that little hook. I'm concerned the 49ers are running out of gas after I watched this past week. But I will say this. Christian McCaffrey, they had a ball thrown off, and it went off McCaffrey. It was intercepted. The 49ers still could have beat Seattle in that game last week or made it a little bit closer. What do you make of this line?
Well, it was pretty much, there was 2.5 for a brief time when it opened, and then it's pretty much landed at 3.5, and that's pretty much what we're looking here. But I think even that is interesting, right? That we're even looking at that number, and same problem exists here that existed with Seattle. We know what you can do with less than 500 teams and those types of defenses. But the Eagles have just as good a defense, some might say even better, than what Seattle has. So how good is that offense on the road having to deal with another top elite defense? Can you score enough? The problem I have is I don't trust the Eagles offensively to score enough. This, to me, forget the side, Craig. I'm looking at how are we getting to 46, 47 points in this game? I think points are going to be very hard to come by.
Yeah, that was my exact thought. Feels like an under, a little too high on the total here. Neither team scores a lot, and especially, by the way, the Eagles in the first half never score. Something to take a look at, too. So Sean McVay pulls the anti-McVay in a final week and plays everybody to get Matthew Stafford that MVP, and he did it, I think, Joe. 37-20 against the Cardinals. Maybe he just looked and thought, everybody scores 35-40 on the Cardinals. We can do this, and they did it again. I believe Stafford ends up winning the MVP. If you see now, he's just several touchdowns away after his performance yesterday from catching Phillip Rivers from 6th all-time, and then he's like 70 behind Brett Favre. So I think Favre is safe at 508. That's where he is. Stafford is at 421. But he'll play next year. He'll pass Rivers. And there's some folks who think that the Rams have the best shot at the Super Bowl, Joe.
Well, but they're going to earn it if that's the place they get to, Craig, like we said, because and again, I hate this, that we got an 8-win team hosting a playoff game. Why winning a division is the end-all, be-all when it comes to the postseason, I'll never figure it out, NFL. But you're asking the Rams, 12 wins, have to travel the country, to travel back, to travel again, maybe to now play the Eagles, only to have to go back and play Seattle. But I can tell you this, it wasn't just the MVP that McVay left him in there and played all the starters yesterday. It's because they knew they were playing Carolina if they won that game. And win it they did, and now they get a rematch on Carolina, who, let's face it, how are we betting on a team that has a minus point differential on the season here? We're talking about one of the best teams to win by margin versus one of the worst teams in the NFL. I don't see enough offense from the Panthers, but I would only lay it with the Rams in this spot here because I can't trust the Carolina Panthers to go 2-0 against the Rams this year.
Yeah, it's true. That was their biggest win of the season just a couple of weeks ago. Okay, so the Lions take care of the Bears to end their season. It feels like Dan Campbell wanted to beat Ben Johnson, so he barely got this one done. 19-16, and now Caleb Williams has thrown for the most passing yards in the history of the Chicago Bears. But I think that stat is actually pretty flawed, considering that Eric Kramer, who you may remember, Joe, is second all time, but Kramer only did this in 16 games. Same with Jay Cutler.
Yep.
So I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess if you want to give it to him, give it to him. But he needed one more game to do it. And so whatever you've seen from the Bears, they're still not the trust factor by the odds makers, Joe. Either that, or they're worried about taking too much Packers money. The Packers, who've shown nothing for a month, are a 1.5 favorite, total of 45.5 in an incredible matchup Saturday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. Maybe the best game of the weekend, I think, coming.
And a 2-7 seed, a number 2 seed playing a 7 seed, and look at that number with the Bears at home. That tells you, Craig, everything you need to know about what the market thinks of the Bears, who are now riding a losing streak heading into the postseason. Not a good situation at all for Chicago.
All right, Joe, enjoy the games this week. Thanks again for coming on NewsWire. Have a great week.
The U is back. Say it with me, Craig. The U is back.
I'm a Gator. Thursday night. I'll be watching, but I'm still a Gator. Be right back.
LeBron James gets that news today. What is today?
Today's his birthday.
Oh, I'm sorry? The greatest birthday gift that LeBron James has ever gotten is the reality, the smack in the face that he's no longer an all-star.
The Craig Carton Show. Only on SportsGrid.
He's out again. Anthony Davis is injured once again and is going to miss time with the Dallas Mavericks for a minor groin strain. Likely will miss a few games. And I don't even know what a few games is to Anthony Davis, because Anthony Davis seems to always be missing time.
Pro basketball today. Only on SportsGrid.
I know exactly what Patriot Nation is screaming this morning. It's Drake May time. Give him the trophy. MVP. Stop it, please. Just sit down. Yes, Drake May has had a nice season, but let's be real. He has played a JV schedule of defenses. He is carving up the easiest slate of defenses in the NFL this season. Congratulations on your beatdown of the Jets.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
It's going to open up Pandora's box. But I will say this. I do believe players that sign now, like Najee, should not be eligible now, but should have to sit out and come back in next year. It's just a slippery slope. And I agree with people like Tom Izzo. I don't like it at all.
College basketball today. Only on SportsGrid.
As Joe Ranieri and I were just talking about off the air, we've got an incredible football schedule and a lot of coverage coming here at SportsGrid. We've got two semifinal games in the college football playoffs coming Thursday night and Friday night, and then the NFL playoffs and wildcard weekend begins Saturday. So that's Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. So that's why these games are Thursday night and Friday night. So let's bring in our friend Rich Cerminillo to recap the college football playoff quarterfinals. Lots of surprises in this one, fair to say. A lot of folks did not have Miami. A lot of folks did not have Mississippi, but here they are, and they're going to face off against each other on Thursday night out in Arizona in the land of the desert. So let's get a preview of the upcoming games and see who could potentially be headed to play for the College Football Championship in South Florida on January the 19th.
Craig, we are down to the semifinals in college football. Quick turnaround Thursday, Friday night for Fiesta Bowl, Peach Bowl. Want to take a look at what we saw in terms of New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, some storylines to watch, and then we'll break down the games quickly. First off, interesting to see that teams with first-round buys, those top 4 seeds over the last 2 years, 1-7 overall, struggling with rust. We saw that again this year. The only winner, Indiana in the Rose Bowl over Alabama, 38-3. I don't know if we're going to have changes in college football, but it's only 2 years worth of data. But an interesting dynamic. You know, you win your conference championship, you get a bye. Seemingly, that's an advantage with the extra rest. But so far, 7 of those 8 teams going back to last year have lost their games. Now, the games on the field so far have been okay, outside of the Sugar Bowl, which was a thriller, but a lot of these games have been so-so for the fans. The storylines, though, have been fantastic. I love the way this playoff is developing. You've got great storylines like Ole Miss. Trinidad Chambliss is their quarterback, D2 last year. Their coach is just a head coach for the past month, Pete Golding, replacing Lane Kiffin. This story is right out of Central Casting. I think a lot of America has started to get into Ole Miss as the playoffs go on. You've got Miami and the resurgence that they're having. I love the fact that Michael Irvin, Ray Lewis, Jimmy Johnson are on the sidelines for this game. That has been fun to watch. Indiana and their turnaround under Kurt Cignetti, and then Oregon looking for their first national championship ever, which I think surprises a lot of people because they've been in the mix for so long. The other thing that stood out for me, we've seen a bit of a changing of the guard. Some modern dynasties fall. Ohio State, Georgia, Alabama, losing at the same time. Now, you know, we're not looking at college football parity, Craig, where, you know, BC or Arizona or Fresno State is going to compete for a national championship. But I love the fact that these 4 semifinal teams, 0 national championships since 2001. The last one, obviously, Miami 25 years ago. So some fun matchups to look at. We'll start off with Ole Miss against Miami. I always set my lines before looking at a line. I don't want to be swayed in any direction. Had this game as a pick'em, and as you know, Ole Miss is getting 3.5. I think it's going to be extremely close. It's Miami's defense, which has been dominant through 2 games, against the Ole Miss offense. Ole Miss has the edge on offense. I think this is a very close game. I do think Miami wins, but I'm hesitant. I'm kind of waiting until game time to see if I can get 4.5. I think that number's going to inch up. And I know I'm looking to thread a needle, but I think this is close. I have this as a 24-23 Miami win. I think the total comes under the number, but I like Ole Miss. The one thing to watch here is Miami's great pass rush, which has been dominant with Ruben Bain and Akeem Mesidor. Who leads the SEC in least sacks this year? It's Ole Miss with just 18. And finally, Indiana against Oregon. It's a rematch. I went through the numbers, watched the tape. I have it as Indiana laying 6. I think the Hoosiers win 28-20. They're better across the board at just about every position outside of the secondary. This is not team of destiny kind of stuff. I think Indiana's just flat out better on both sides of the ball. Love what Oregon did against Texas Tech, but that dominance of Indiana against Alabama really stood out for me. So I think we're looking at Indiana against Miami. Again, storylines in this postseason, that national championship in Miami, where the Hurricanes play. And oh, by the way, the face of the season this year, the Heisman Trophy winner, Fernando Mendoza, Indiana's quarterback, went to high school where? In Miami. So I'm looking at Miami, Indiana in the national championship.
Crosby has now left the team, by the way. He's pissed. Anyway, you look at it, he's angry. He wants to play. He doesn't like what they're doing here. There's all sort of speculation.
This might be the final straw, George, for him there. Like, I don't know why he stays. Yeah, I know. The thing is, he's got a Raider freaking tattoo. Like, the guy loves the Raiders. Like, he really does love playing for the Raiders. But and now, like you said, he's not happy about this.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Sometimes those coaches do get the axe regardless of what the owner said just a few short weeks ago. And sometimes, Joe, you can't have it both ways. Like, a Jets fan, you probably want them to tank. They're doing a really good job of that by not even being competitive at this point. But at the same time, you sort of want it to be, yeah, we're not competitive winning games, but it looks like we have a future. We might have found our quarterback. We got a good foundation. Nothing is going right.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
It's going to open up Pandora's box. But I will say this. I do believe players that sign now, like Najee, should not be eligible now, but should have to sit out and come back in next year. It's just a slippery slope. And I agree with people like Tom Izzo. I don't like it at all.
College basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
LeBron James gets that news today. What is today?
Today's his birthday.
Oh, I'm sorry? The greatest birthday gift that LeBron James has ever gotten is the reality, the smack in the face that he's no longer an all-star.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
Welcome back to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. Always great to catch up with Adam Kaplan, our SportsGrid insider. Today, probably more than other days, just because with so much news going on in the National Football League, Adam is with us now for about 30 minutes. Adam, I haven't seen you since the New Year, so Happy New Year. Thanks for coming on NewsWire. Really appreciate it. Tough day, I know, because you're involved in a way in the NFL like I am in baseball. Like, I hate this day because there's people that you rely on and that that you can text, and they lose their jobs, like, it's just never fun. Like, we cover it because it's part of the sport, but in the end you could potentially be losing a source in one way, maybe gaining it in a different way. And I'm right there with you on days like today. Like, I know we have to do these stories, but it really stinks in the end.
Yeah, I remember, I'll just take that story one step further. There was a guy who had been an assistant coach of the NFL for many years who I was pretty friendly with. We connected very well. And, I was going to break his story that he got fired, and I just felt really odd about it.
Yeah,
just the wording of it. It's hard, man, because you get to know these people as human beings, and guys that I've known for many years, not just sources, become friends or connections. It's very, very difficult. Yeah, the part that I get excited about is actually when we talk about, or I like doing is, okay, unfortunately we have to do what you talked about, but it's not only the head coaching candidates or coaching candidates, OC and DC candidates, schemes, how they fit in, get people excited about the change. But it sucks. Yeah, it's the late great Chris Mortensen, who's a mentor of mine. I mean, I know how much he dreaded it because he knew these people. And Chris was covering league a lot earlier than I was, and it's a tough day. But there's change. And by the way, we should mention this: if you go back 5 years, there are between 6 and 7 head coaching firings or changes. So far, there's 6, and there may be more. Going back 10 years before that, just a little fewer, just over 6. And from 1990 through 09, 20 years, this is when there was less pressure. No social media. There were about 5 per season. That includes all changes, not just firings, just to be clear. It's retirements, also resignations. But 90% of changes are firings.
Yeah. And I would say this, that there is a silver lining. Except for Pete Carroll, I think every single one of these coaches and the assistants will resurface somewhere, because that's the kind of league that we're in.
Sure.
They'll get jobs somewhere. Jonathan Gannon will be a coordinator somewhere. So I don't know. Like, I mean, where do you want to start here with this? The biggest change, I think, overall is Atlanta, right? With the GM and the coach. That's probably fair. But I mean, I'll start wherever you want to start here. Maybe with your most interesting of the most recent ones here in the last 24 hours?
Well, Atlanta, we could actually do a 30 for 34. This one, Arthur Blank is a good man, very wealthy, about Home Depot, good man, good person. But he, more often than not, doesn't get it right with front office and head coaching changes in terms of the structure. So the latest one, it's fascinating, but it's kind of ridiculous on the surface. So yes. So Raheem Morris, and I mentioned this to Kevin Walsh on PFT back in mid-season. I said, I know no one's talking about this. We have to talk about Raheem Morris being on the hot seat. Because I know inside their building, they had great hopes. They had some really good drafts under Terry Fontenot. We'll get to his situation, which revolves around the quarterback, Craig. But there were great expectations in that building, and they weren't being close to being met. Now, I know that Morris was able to win his final 4 games. Raheem brought a lot of energy, really, really good defensive coordinator, one of the best in the league. But he could not get the team to play like they should have played. And they underachieved, so he lost his job. Not terribly surprising, maybe a little bit unfair, because, again, they closed the season well. Why couldn't he get a third season to see if they could improve upon that? But then, Terry Fontenot, if you look at his drafts, Bijan Robinson will probably be a Hall of Famer. Drake London's been terrific. Matthew Bergeron, a good offensive lineman. So now he gave up big draft capital, gave up their first-round pick last year, or excuse me, this coming year, 26, to get edge rushers. And because they had a very bad edge rush, that's on Fontenot. He missed, other than A.J. Terrell, which was one of his best picks. They were bad at corner other than Terrell. Pass rush did take a jump because of the draft picks, but overall a mixed bag. But so people want to know, why did Arthur Blank clean house? Well, this is an incredible story. Matt Ryan, who's never worked for an NFL team other than a player, he's very likely to be their director of football operations, where the new head coach, the new general manager, will report to him. And he will, by the way, Arthur Blank said it in his statement to fans, whoever the new director of football ops will be, which it's almost certain to be Ryan, they're close. They've been working on it for the last week or so. I mean, this guy, Matt Ryan, will have personnel control. Think about that. The guy's never worked for an NFL team other than a player. Remember what happened, this being in South Florida with Dan Marino, and that didn't work out very well. I know Matt's still a young guy in his early 40s. This is a big jump for him if it does work out like we think it's going to happen. It's a big jump, and it's just Arthur Blank has done a lot of different things. And here's another adjunct to this. He's hired 2 search firms, one to hire the general manager and one to hire the head coach. It's just really bizarre the way they're doing this. But I'll say this. I was talking to a coaching agent over the last week. This guy thinks the roster is really good, but it's going to be a problem for some guys who've got leverage because of the shaky problem at quarterback with Kirk Cousins' age, obviously in his late 30s, Craig, and Michael Penix coming off his 4th major injury. Right. This is just not good. When you don't have a clean situation at quarterback and no first-round pick, cap problem is minor compared to the quarterback problem, and no first-round pick this coming season, that does not make the job very attractive.
Yeah, I see a lot of that the same way as you, and I don't know if it's apples and oranges with baseball and football, but generally speaking, Adam, and I mentioned this earlier in the show, all of those points that you made are fair, but I think that the number one overall point for me is the one that I know that that I think that Fontenot got fired for, which is burning $200 million of Arthur Blank's money, and I think in the end, billionaires don't become billionaires without looking at the bottom line, and that would be my guess, is that now Blank is just as culpable standing in the draft room when they're about to take Penix and burn another $100 million. I get that, but in the end, if you're going to take $200 million of my money and you're going to throw it away like you did on this quarterback, I'm going to say, okay, you're in charge, but eventually you're going to lose your gig. To me, that's a big part of the conversation. I could be wrong, by the way. I'm not involved in it. I don't know that.
Well,
okay.
Right. One thing to add to that. Yeah, just want to add this real quick. On what you said, this is the part that drove people around the league insane. So you mentioned the Cousins contract, right? And 2 years fully guaranteed, which means without a doubt, I don't care what you do at quarterback, he's your starter. Plus they guaranteed $10 million on a roster bonus for year 3, which is inconsequential compared to the guaranteed money in the first 2 years. So it means if Cousins stays healthy, which he did, he tore his Achilles, but if he did, Penix won't play till year 3. That doesn't happen anymore. So the whole thing was convoluted. It was a mistake by Fontenot. But I'll say this: skill positions, edge rusher group, there's a lot there, but they're in major trouble at quarterback. They don't have an answer right now.
Right, and somebody's watching this saying, "Well, Craig, what are you talking about? Well, why is the Browns GM staying around when he burned the money on Watson?" There's a difference. They didn't sign Watson. They didn't have Watson sign him and then draft another quarterback in the first round. That's what Atlanta did. That's the difference to me. Okay, you want to put the bow on Pete Carroll's career? He'll be in the Hall of Fame, but this is it, right?
Yeah, 74 years old. He got everything he wanted. Here's where he screwed up. Chip Kelly is a good play caller for college football, okay? He did a great job at Ohio State, but Chip is not an NFL coach. He became the highest paid offensive coordinator in NFL history. That was a mistake. Fired him midseason. That was a disaster. He fired his special teams coach. He got what he wanted. He got Geno Smith. Oh, by the way, they guaranteed $18.5 million in year 2. That was a mistake. Just when and we look at, they drafted Ashton Genty. Genty, to me, fits what Pete Carroll wanted in a power back, the more explosive back with Hampton. Now we're going to give Genty a pass here. He did better to close the season. But overall, Pete Carroll got what he wanted, but the opposite became true. He just didn't get the job done.
Yeah, way too much talent to lose that many games, I think, in year 1. You could lose 10. You can't lose.
Yeah.
We'll be right back with Adam Kaplan with more on the NFL coaching carousel next.
Crosby has now left the team, by the way. He's pissed. Anyway, look at he's angry. He wants to play. He doesn't like what they're doing here. There's all sort of speculation.
This might be the final straw, George, for him there. Like, I don't know why he stays. Yeah, I know. The thing is, he's got a Raider freaking tattoo. Like, the guy loves the Raiders. Like, he really does love playing for the Raiders. But and now, like you said, he's not happy about this.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Sometimes those coaches do get the axe regardless of what the owner said just a few short weeks ago. And sometimes, Joe, you can't have it both ways. Like a Jets fan, you probably want them to tank. They're doing a really good job of that by not even being competitive at this point. But at the same time, you sort of want it to be, yeah, we're not competitive winning games, but it looks like we have a future. We might have found our quarterback. We got a good foundation. Nothing is going right.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
It's going to open up Pandora's box. But I will say this. I do believe players that sign now, like Najee, should not be eligible now, but should have to sit out and come back in next year. It's just a slippery slope. And I agree with people like Tom Izzo. I don't like it at all.
College basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
LeBron James gets that news today. What is today?
Today's his birthday.
Oh, I'm sorry? The greatest birthday gift that LeBron James has ever gotten is the reality, the smack in the face that he's no longer an all-star.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
Welcome back to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. Winning will get you a job as an assistant in the NFL. Just ask Shane Steichen, who got a job with the Indianapolis Colts, and things kind of went sideways for him. The Colts are bringing him back for next season. Another assistant, as you know, Adam, did not have the same success coming from Philly and now in Arizona. Probably ends up back in Philly, like Robert Saleh just went right back to San Francisco. It's Jonathan Gannon, who walked into a really tough situation to begin with a quarterback was kind of iffy at best. But I would say this. I mean, I would say, Adam, that watching as much NFL as I did, I think the Cardinals had the very worst defense in the NFL in the second half of the season.
Watching
Red
Zone and watching the games, they were down 14 or 17 or 21-0 immediately in every single game that they were playing. Fantasy was different because Michael Wilson was so good and Brissett was so good, but I was trying to tell people, keep it real here a little bit. They were down 2 touchdowns in the first 5 minutes of every game. What the heck happened to the Cardinals? It'd be one thing if they couldn't score, but their defense was a shell of what it was under Kingsbury.
All right, so let me give you a Cliff Notes version. So basically, first of all, Gannon was 19 games over 500. They showed no progress. He's a guy with a lot of bravado and energy, and players usually, not always, but usually connect well with him. But it's usually, if you have 2 first bad years, you've got to show progress from years 2 to 3. He didn't do that. And that got him a ticket on the way out. Now, their injury problem, you should know this, worse than the National Football League. Most games missed total, both sides of the football. Now, why was their defense not competitive most weeks? Max Melton, second-round pick out of Rutgers, heel injury. Missed a chunk of the season. Darius Robinson, the first rounder last year, missed almost the entire rookie season. This time this season, he hasn't gotten there yet. Walter Nolan, their first-round pick, who a lot of people around the league are high on. 2 separate knee injuries. That curtailed his progress. Lack of a pass rush. Coverage problems. Buy-in on defense. Just awful. Now, you've hit it right, but I'll take another level. A lot was expected of Gannon because he won big in Philly, running Vic Fangio's defense as he did a great job, 70 sacks, team record in Philly in 22. It just never happened for him. Now, the Kyler Murray experience obviously reaches crescendo here. More likely than not, they're going to move on from him because there's some guaranteed money in March they're going to want to avoid, and they may have to eat some money. It's going to be hard to trade him. So there's a lot of talented young players on defense that have not been developed yet. You see flashes, no consistency. But again, Craig, if you look at our list, right, you've got 6 openings. Several of them don't know who their quarterback is. That's a problem when you're trying to sell it to prospective head coaching candidates.
Yeah. Is it a bad sign? I always find it funny that people say, "Oh, why does the owner have to come out, or the GM, and have to come out and say that a guy is safe?" For example, like Zach Taylor in Cincinnati. Well, the reason why is because we're still sitting here and it's 1:15 on Monday, and the Dolphins haven't said anything, and Steve Ross hasn't said anything, and the Johnson family hasn't said anything about the Jets. I don't know. Something tells me that when I don't hear anything, I got to start wondering what's going to happen here. Quite frankly, I got to tell you, Adam, I will be shocked if Mike McDaniel is back. I know you're reading everything that says that he is back from everybody that I talk to. I'm not so sure. I think whoever takes this job open has got to have his own guy. No offense to McDaniel, had a lot of injuries as well. But how many the Dolphins haven't won a playoff game, Adam, in 25 years. 25 years. That's wow. 25 years.
It's embarrassing. Yeah, very little success under Steve Ross, who's brilliant, great in business, but a lot of these owners, man, they just don't understand football. So here's what I told you guys 2 months ago. Mike McDaniel was not getting fired in season. Steve Ross loves him. Mike McDaniel is brilliant, but you're going to have a new general manager. And more often than not, the new general manager wants his own head coach. Now, sometimes they're not allowed to make that call. That's a decision. And Miami's already submitted a bunch of GM requests. So we'll have to see how this works out. But you're right. The roster's been pretty beat up. The Tua experience, him getting benched. They owe him a big chunk of money this coming season, $54 million. There's nothing they can do about it. It's fully guaranteed. He's going to be a hard sell, hard to trade. They may have to eat that $54 million. That, again, it's not an attractive job. And another thing that head coaching candidates tell me over the years that they look for, where are my blue chip players? Quarterback's number one. Obviously, they got to know who the quarterback is. Cap is not that big of a consideration. It's way down the list. They want to know what the roster looks like. Where are my blue chip players? Good luck finding any. Minka Fitzpatrick's not the same player. He's a good player, but he's not elite anymore. If you go through it, they don't really have any elite players. They have some good players, but there are really no elite players. It's not a very good roster. And Tyreek Hill obviously is going to be moving on after he recovers from his injuries. Jalen Waddle is a good player, but he's not elite.
Yeah, Adam, do you think that, and this is more of like inside football here, do you think that Steve Ross went back to Bill Parcells or Ron Wolf again and said, who do I bring in? And they said Aikman? Did they do this again?
Oh, that
feels like this keeps happening. Yeah.
Yeah, he's just an advisor on the GM search. It's not like he's going to be
Right, but
working
how did he
for
get
them
to? How did he
full-time.
land on Aikman though? How did he land on it? Is it
Because
through?
he-
Because it always
he
it's
knows
been
him.
through
Yeah.
Parcells in the past.
He knows him through the grapevine, as I understand it. So, yeah, it is odd. But here's why you bring in a Troy Aikman. As you know, in these TV production meetings, you get to know head coaches, coordinators, and general managers. You get to know them in your travels, and he kind of knows. He should know because he's met and talked to these guys privately about the clubs. How do these guys handle themselves? He's actually a good resource. It's actually a very underrated. It's not a hire per se. It's a consult. He's going to consult, but it's actually very smart. But what you want to do, and I said this early, you want to avoid things. You don't want to give anyone a big job, a decision-making job like Matt Ryan. It's very dubious when he's never worked for an NFL team. You want an apprenticeship. Let him get a job with you in personnel. Let him work his way up before you give him the big job. And unfortunately, Arthur Blank is skipping steps.
And Stefanski let go by the Browns. Some feel like he'll resurface somewhere else pretty quickly. And then what are the Browns doing? We got a minute to go.
Yeah, Kevin's from Philly. Is that his father, Ed, former Sixers general manager, was also worked for the Pistons for a while. Kevin should get interest from the Giants, from what I understand, and other teams. But remember, he was going to be the Giants' OC under Pat Shermer, but he was blocked by the Vikings. So he knows that team. He knows the area. Kevin's going to have a lot of interest because he's one of the best offensive minds there that's going to be available.
All right, Adam. Keep it up the good work. We'll talk to you later in the week. Thank you.
Thanks.
Crosby has now left the team, by the way. He's pissed. Anyway, look at it, he's angry. He wants to play. He doesn't like what they're doing here. There's all sort of speculation.
This might be the final straw, George, for him there.
Like,
I don't know why he stays. Yeah, I know. The thing is, he's got a Raider freaking tattoo. Like, the guy loves the Raiders. Like, he really does love playing for the Raiders. But and now, like you said, he's not happy about this.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Sometimes those coaches do get the axe regardless of what the owner said just a few short weeks ago. And sometimes, Joe, you can't have it both ways. Like a Jets fan, you probably want them to tank. They're doing a really good job of that by not even being competitive at this point. But at the same time, you sort of want it to be, yeah, we're not competitive winning games, but it looks like we have a future. We might have found our quarterback. We got a good foundation. Nothing is going right.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
It's going to open up Pandora's box. But I will say this. I do believe players that sign now, like Najee, should not be eligible now, but should have to sit out and come back in next year. It's just a slippery slope. And I agree with people like Tom Izzo. I don't like it at all.
College basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
LeBron James gets that news today. What is today?
Today's his birthday.
Oh, I'm sorry? The greatest birthday gift that LeBron James has ever gotten is the reality, the smack in the face that he's no longer an all-star.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
Welcome back to NewsWire here on SportsGrid as we get ready to wrap up the show. Of course, we got a little bit of football to discuss. Also, a quick note from baseball, which we'll get to, and a very bizarre statement from arguably the best tennis player in the world. We'll do that. Also, if any other coaches get fired before the end of the show, we'll also deliver that to you. But we got programming all day long and all night long here to keep you updated on that. If it does happen, we'll bring it to you exclusively here on SportsGrid. It's time now that we wrap up this edition of NewsWire with some last licks. While you may wonder why Don Mattingly, Donnie Baseball, is taking another job. I think it's fair to ask. He's been involved in some way in baseball for the last, 50 years or so as both a player and a manager of the Dodgers and manager of the Marlins and now coach of the Blue Jays. Why? What does Donnie have left to prove here at this point? Well, Donnie, the Philadelphia Phillies announced, is going to be the bench coach for them after leaving a great situation, by the way, with the Toronto Blue Jays. I fully expected Donnie to retire several times. When I saw him this past year on the field, he told me that his son is now starting to really like baseball, and he doesn't want to pull him away from that. Like, he's really enjoying being around and being around the guys. His son's name is Louis, but he does have another son. And his other son, his name is Preston. His first wife, they had a child. His name is Preston. Preston is the assistant, or I think he may be even the general manager of the Philadelphia Phillies. So that's why Donnie is going to work for his son. That's why he's choosing to hang around for at least one more year as the bench coach to Rob Thompson. Donnie, one of my all-time favorites. Known him for a long time. Congrats to him. Congrats to the other gig. And I'll get to see him a lot more often when the Phillies come to Miami. Okay. Here is some very strange announcement that I saw that I needed some explanation on. Novak Djokovic, who doesn't really go to social media very often today, went to social media to announce that he has decided to step away from the Professional Tennis Players Association, which is something that he started many years ago. In fact, put out a statement saying, after careful consideration, I've decided to step away from the PTPA. This decision comes after ongoing concerns regarding transparency, governance, and the way that my voice and image have been represented. Now, some people thought, it was kind of funny, I saw the announcement on social media, thought that he was not going to be playing tennis anymore. That is not the case. It's just he's leaving this association that he had a very prominent role on when he began it to help out different players and marketing and doing all these sort of things, and he's decided to step away. Now, will there be more coming to the story? Of course, absolutely. But a very strange announcement and strange for the Joker to go on social media and saying he's not doing something anymore because he's just not on there. But either way, Djokovic, you can expect to participate in all the major events this year: Wimbledon, French Open, U.S. Open, and everything else. Okay, now, if you missed last night's game, you missed arguably the game of the year. If you're waking up this morning on the West Coast, you're turning on NewsWire, and you're watching SportsGrid, you didn't get a good night's sleep. I know it was an incredible finish. You had to watch the game to the end. But did you know that the Steelers, before the game, had a priest on the field blessing the field with holy water during pregame? Not that I would know much about that, but either way, this is what he did. And the end zone that he put the holy water on apparently was the same end zone where Ravens kicker Tyler Loop ended up missing a 44-yard field goal that ended up costing them the game. If you believe in miracles, you believe in this sort of stuff, maybe this is the reason why the Pittsburgh Steelers ended up winning the game, or maybe the fact was that the kicker just blew a 44-yard field goal. Now, by the way, I feel horrible for this kid, Tyler Loop, who made every single field goal this season 44 yards or less. But the extra point that was missed just before that by Chris Boswell was the only extra point that he missed all season long. So did they bless that same holy water when Boswell missed the extra point? Come on, guys. Let's get real. Didn't make a difference. Guy just missed a kick. That's the way the game ended yesterday. Fantastic game. My favorite game of the year, by the way. There probably was another one, and I'm living in the moment. Absolutely my favorite game of the year. All right, that'll do it for the show today. We had some great guests on the program today. A lot of NFL talk, as you would imagine, with coaches being fired. We'll get back to our betting legislation and talk tomorrow. Vinny Iyer of Sporting News, Jacob Kamaker of USA Today, Joe Ranieri of SportsGrid, and our SportsGrid NFL insider, Adam Kaplan. Those were our guests on today's show. We'll be back with another edition of the show tomorrow as we creep closer to Thursday night. And we got some college football playoff action to discuss Thursday and Friday. So we'll bring on some great guests up until then and get you previewed for all the big games this weekend. Thanks again to our director, Luke, and for my producer, Frank. Happy New Year. This is the last day I think I'm allowed to say it, right? According to Larry David, I think, or yesterday was the last day I could say it. So Happy New Year to all of you. Great to see you back here for our 2026 editions of NewsWire. And I'll see you back here tomorrow, 12 o'clock Eastern, for our next show. Have a great Monday, everyone.